Getting to the money, I be getting to the back. People think I'm funny cause I always make them laugh. I ain't even being funny, I be really spitting facts. I'm about balance and I got talents. Every challenge I overcome. Low-key is savage, never be average. Give me a task and I'll get it done. Minding my business whenever I come in. I'm handling business while I'm having fun. I ain't worried about winning, but that would be dumb cause there's no competition. I already won, huh? Yeah.
Peace, family. How you all doing? I hope all is well with you. My name is Keisha. I'm the owner of Astrologiks, and I am your astrology coach. Today, I'm going to be discussing the Libra Equinox, fall equinox, Libra season, whatever you want to call it. It's going to be a good time. Good time. All right. So the sun will enter Libra on the 22nd, which is immediately after the Virgo solar new moon eclipse. And it will make an air grand trine with Pluto in Aquarius retrograde, Gemini and Uranus retrograde. And there goes the trine. And it's also going to be opposing Neptune and Aries. This is happening for the first time, and it'll happen again next year, but it'll be in between 3 and 4 degrees by that time. And so this is a pretty big deal. I feel like I can highlight so much here on the chart, but for the sake of my brain, I'm just gonna hop off here. So just remember that your Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra area of life are going to be lit up this entire month. For the entire Libra season. And it's going to be opposing this Neptune and Aries. Okay. So now that we got the important stuff out of the way, again, this happens on the 22nd. The cardinal signs will feel this the most, which is Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. Especially if you have planets at between 0 and 2 degrees. This is going to be the last Libra equinox that we have with Saturn and Pisces. It'll also be the last Capricorn equinox we have with Saturn and Pisces, and I'll talk about that then. But just so that you're aware how big this is on, there's a really strong indication that we are cleaning out old or unfinished business. So that's going to be a really big deal and something to keep in the back of your mind, even though it might not be the highlighted energy. Eclipses last for over 6 months. And so it'll definitely be what's happening behind the scenes, underneath the surface, internally. And you might have a lot of people who are still dealing with that throughout this process at any given time. That's going to be probably the number one thing that you want to pay attention to and be mindful of, because we're going to have a lot of, you might see a lot of astrologers who are selling cupcakes with this aspect, because to be quite frank, it's quite amazing. But it's opposing Neptune and Aries. And we know that Neptune is about illusions, delusions, victim mentality. You are going to have a lot of people grabbing at your ankles, trying to bring you down. If you find yourself in high spirits, or you are able to flex, be adaptable to the energy that is changing, and you're noticing that you're elevating and you're making the necessary changes that is being asked of you at this time, as instead of dwelling on things that you can't control, not changing, just complaining, and not to bash those things, because to be super honest with you, some of the stuff that's going on is extremely heavy. We know that, right? Saturn is at the very last degrees, and it's meant to cause internal infliction, to help people see the light or to make the change. It kind of puts a fire under your ass, not to punish you, but to say, hey, it's time to change. If you feel pain, if you feel stuck, if you feel sadness, if you're depressed, if you're locking yourself in your house and not interacting, if you're um not speaking to people, not you know being social, denying opportunities, and not being open and flexible to the possibilities of meeting somebody or just having an initial conversation, you be mindful of that, or just be aware that that's where you are, and that's going to be okay. We'll have plenty of time for people to change and uplift. Everybody's going to be at different places and spaces, and everybody's going to have to go through whatever it is they need to go through in order to evolve, and everybody's threshold for pain is different. Some people can stay in it longer, some people never get out, and then there are others who have that one enlightening moment where they'll never go back, but also not ever go back in the way where it's like um it's with disdain. It's more like compassion. Because I have gone through that, I have faith, and understand that people go through different phases and stages in their life. Others will get through it, and you use the stones, the pain, the sadness to build upon as you come out of that energy, and you know that you become the light in those darker times. Another way, again, to also see this is that you're healing, you're taking a break, you're resting, you're relaxing, you're charging your battery, you're taking care of yourself, you're doing self-care, you're getting your hair done, your nails done, massages, whatever your process is what the higher vibration of that looks like. And those times are just as necessary as the bad times, right? And so I'm trying not to demonize the fact that people are really going through a lot of stuff right now, and they might make some really unhinged decisions, and we'll talk through that as we go through this energy. So we're really wrapping up the Pisces energy and what it was trying to teach us between the eclipses and Saturn being in Pisces over these next few months. And you might find that you have more responsibilities and hard work in your Pisces area of life. It's giving you a reality check, on Pisces themes. That's media, film, Hollywood, anything to do with delusions, deceptions, lies, drugs, pharmaceutical companies. We're going to see a bunch of information coming out about this. Some stuff, the conspiracy theories already kind of suspected, right? This will be conspiracy theory dreams come through. I knew it. I knew they was trying to kill us. Yep, you're right. They are, and it could be really anything around these companies, how they really been operating, the ins and outs of them, the purpose for them, whether they're really still the best way to go for humanity, etc. It can bring shortages of water and flooding. We've already seen a lot of that. The topic of toxicity can come out, especially when it comes to water and other ways, even pollution. We'll see a lot of conversations coming up about that, but even toxic people, which we didn't have to wait for that conversation to come up. People love this word. They use it quite a lot, but it could be even more enforced during this time over these next few months, simply because, again, this energy is meant to stir up all the negative themes of Pisces to be aware of it so that it can be addressed. It's giving you an opportunity to change in some major kind of way. Um, there can also be wonderful things about water, like how to crystallize it, drinking alkaline water, the benefits of distilled water. Um, this can definitely be about pH levels in women, things around fires. Unfortunately, this can be about oil, for sure. I wouldn't even be surprised if oil goes up around this time. Your dreams, your sleep patterns and habits, um, the drug epidemic in general, and homelessness. I don't know why when I was writing this, it reminded me of Skid Row in LA. Not that where I live, it's not, I don't think what the kind of homelessness we have out here is nearly as bad as Skid Row. But over the last few months specifically, I've noticed that they have been changing the areas in which they stay. It's changed from one end of the street over to another end of the street. Now they're kind of like spreading out within that area and the back ends. Like it's almost as if they're trying to get them out of the front where people kind of enter into the city right off the highway. Um, and they just recently did like a really big drug bust. And I don't know what the outcome was of that, and whether some of those people got moved, or I haven't really heard much about the outcome. But I say that only because this is proof that these things are being addressed, handled, taken care of, looked at more closely, to see whether or not it can be changed in some kind of way. Um, so so the sun moving into Libra will also reactivate any planet between the between 0 and 2 degrees, which again is Neptune, Uranus, Saturn. Saturn will be reactivated in February when it moves back into Aries, and Pluto in Aquarius, which is retrograde and out of bounds. Now, I haven't really ever done a video on what out of bounds is on any of my channels, the 100,000s of them that I have. Um, but that's only because most of the time, it's only the moon or Mercury because those are the two fastest planets and they're really kind of sort of in and out. But with Pluto being out of bounds, um, it's actually very rare because Pluto's a lot slower. It it'll be out of bounds for a longer period of time, which is August 29th to November 23rd. So we are already full effect in Pluto being out of bounds. Um, and all out of bounds means is whenever a planet is outside of the sun's normal orbit, which is only up to 22 degrees in the south and the north, that means the planet is out of bounds. So the sun has no authority there. There's the referee can't see. Everything is out of sight, untamed, and things can be completely wild. You know, it's like the mark of a generational revolutionary moment when it's out of bounds. And it'll be like that until it'll do that around this time every year until the 2030s. So the underworld is completely unchecked during these times. The last time this happened with Pluto and Aquarius was the late 1700s, which, if you've listened to my Pluto and Aquarius videos, you know the themes, but again, briefly, this is when we had the American Revolution, the French Revolution, the Haitian Revolution. The power was kind of released from people in power and it was reclaimed by the people. So there's going to be a lot of truths coming out, grassroots uprisings, systems cracking. because people don't support it anymore. I was looking at a video from Lizzo, and she was talking about how the industry is falling apart. And it's because they have more power using social media. And again, if you go back to my first video I did when it was the Jupiter Saturn conjunction, and they called it the Great Conjunction back at the end of 2020. I broke all this down and how revolutionary this time was going to be, especially when it came to entertainment. That there's a great possibility that entertainers financially will no longer be as financial as other. They'll be like everyday regular people, and they could be forced to live like everyday regular people where they have to downsize um, in some way, shape, or form. And it'll be much easier for regular everyday people to become famous by way of social media, which we already seen this happening. I think this is going to grow even bigger. And I seen another video where a guy was talking about that the entertainers were getting upset because people aren't attending their events and performances anymore. And he was like, it's because we don't need you anymore. We're famous now. Come to our show, join us, which, I don't think he meant it in the way that I seen it when I heard it, but essentially, I do think this is going to bring everybody really closer together, which is right up Pluto and Aquarius's avenue. That's exactly what it wants us to do. It wants us to come together as a collective to make change and not depend on the government. It's more freedom, and that is going back to that bigger idea of sovereignty. And we'll start to hear a lot more people using that term again. I can only imagine quite often. And that's just what we're moving towards. Um, there'll be a lot of earthquakes, a lot of land and city and state changes, obviously political changes. It's going to get a little crazy, I'm not going to lie, but I also feel like it's going to be very liberating. It's a chance to reclaim your power outside of the rules that you were told to follow. It's a chance to stop playing by the rules that never supported you in the first place. It's just a time to rebel, reform, and break free. And that's exactly what people are going to do. I promise you, it's going to be the most beautiful, insane process ever. Just think of a bunch of teenagers running around, ruling the world. Yep, I said it. Just like that. And that's exactly what I feel like it's going to look like. But in the best way possible, where I think you're going to see great acts of kindness and people coming together to help one another, communities coming together to help one another. I even seen a video about Chicago gangs threatening the government, like, you come over here with your guns and stuff, we bucking back. Like, these are our towns, these are our neighborhoods. And I actually quite literally said that a while back. Don't I I don't think it's too far-fetched from happening. Could you imagine what that looks like? Seeing gangs go against military, police in a massive way, like an ongoing war? Absolutely. People are just tired. They're tired. They're tired of, the way this world is set up, the way this country is run, and they are absolutely without a doubt going to show it. Um, uh, there was something else that I seen a video on this young lady. She was talking about how when she was younger, she used to get teased because, she was Haitian and she had an accent and, she was different, obviously, whatever. And she would come home and tell her mom that they would call her, say that she does voodoo and all this other stuff. And she said her mom replied back, did they talk about the voodoo that America does? And the girl was like, I was shocked when she said that, and it kind of stuck with her, but she never really understood what she meant. But now that she's older, she's looking at what's going on in the world, and obviously she's learned more over the years, and she's like, yeah, like, do they talk about that? I'm telling you right now, there are going to be some stories that come out that are going to make your mouth drop about how America got so big so fast, how America actually took control, and, just where it all initiated from. And you damn right it was done with voodoo, black magic, or making some kind of deal with a deity, which can definitely be represented under a time of Pluto being out of bounds, like if you've ever watched TV shows about, these kind of supernatural shows where they'll talk about you making a deal with the devil, and it gives you some kind of fame or notoriety or finances. But at the end of that contract, once you fulfill that, then you have to like start giving stuff back, or you got to pay your due, and then your soul lifts up and goes, bye bye, whether it's literal or metaphorical, right? You might even just fall from fame. It doesn't have to be that somebody actually literally dies, but in a sense, I can almost guarantee there will be some kind of information that comes out about America and the deals, the contracts that they signed to get in this position, and the deals and contracts that they have with other countries to have kept it going. And um, I want to say so much more about this because it's such a powerful thing that I think a lot of people have already kind of always known, but when there's no proof or everything's kind of hidden or it's metaphorical, unless you're decoding or you're reading between the lines or you're actually doing the studying, it's like, but is it really true? I just think that there'll be more proof of these types of things that really actually happened, and um in certain kind of ways that you could miss with Neptune. It could be very underhanded, like the clips performing at the Vatican. Now, some people are going to say, "Oh, they're selling their soul." I don't know. I don't know. At such a time like this, I'd be willing to bet that this is because the Vatican knows that spiritually you have to give that information back to the people it belongs to. um they've been sacrificing us for many, many years in order to stay in power, um and this is how they do it, but a lot of the times it's not so clear or straightforward. And I think that's the part that I feel like is going to become way more clearer. um but the clips performing at the Vatican is a really big fucking deal. um I'm gonna do some more decoding on that before I speak about it, because I really want to make sure that I'm on what I'm thinking is, correct. But I think you'll see more things like that, like even hearing that the government is having a shutdown, or that Donald Trump is firing a lot of people who are in office who are, um, making underhanded deals and things of that nature. Now, I don't know how much true that is. That is another video that I saw floating around. I'm gonna have to do my research, but to be honest with you, it's really not that far-fetched if you really think about it. Their contract is ending, so they have to give it back to the people that it belongs to, whatever that is, which is power, but it could be placed and said and spoken about in various different aspects, where you might see people in power falling from grace for many different reasons. All right, so some of the themes for Libra um, are that we can see are some of the people you interact with, um, one-to-one connections, relationships, partnerships, clients. You might really be asking yourself, who am I in these relationships? Are these relationships in spiritual alignment with my sense of self? At this time in my life, are these people, do these people see who I am? Are they idealizing me? Do they get who I am? Do they know how much I've changed? um, are we just trying to make it fit? And this could be a really big turning point in relationships that can surprise you. It can reveal that you are not in alignment with a lot of people. And again, the same way people of power are going to fall from grace, there is going to be that same theme going on in your life where a lot of people are just going to fall out of your life. And at the opposite end of that, be very clear that a lot of past people who have been working on themselves and made a great deal of change are going to come back into your life likewise, and it'll be reflective. Like, it'll be easy. You'll come together and you'll have shared history and stories, and everything's going to be very understanding and communicated clearly. And you know, it can actually really feel fucking refreshing if I'm being super honest about it. Like, damn, we've come a long motherfucking way, haven't we? Hell yeah, we sure did. Well, I don't know. A lot of those kinds of conversations. Um, but essentially, I really do think a lot of people have been doing a lot of work on themselves behind the scenes and realizing that people don't get me. They don't understand my spiritual side. They don't understand my intuition. They don't understand that I went through the dark night of the soul and how much I trust my intuition. Um, how much I live from my intuition and guidance. Um, there's going to be some really, really enlightening levels of awareness as you are um, releasing some of the people, places, and things in your life where you'll just be kind of sitting and reflecting and reminiscing about the past year, the past 2 years, the past 10 years. I mean, it's going to be different for everybody. Like, all that I have been through has made me who I am. And when you really heal, and I say heal lightly because nobody ever really truly fully heals. It's an ongoing process, but there's levels to this shit. And every time you hit uh um a point, a mark, or something like that, and you elevate just a little bit, that those are times to sit back and reflect, celebrate, rest, retreat, and take care of yourself. And 9 times out of 10, those things tend to happen around fall season. In my personal opinion, especially once we hit Scorpio season, that's all you're doing when you're in the underworld. It's like all the animals, because it's winter time, they go underground or they go inside. And that's what everybody else does too. And that's even on a spiritual level as well. It's recommended that you go underground, that you go inside, you go inward, and you reflect and kind of look back at how much you've changed, and you learn to appreciate it. That's why I'm trying to be. It's a very thin line where some people will see this as you being, um, you know, distant, not really wanting to talk, when there's a difference really between the two. And if you're not careful, you can misconstrue somebody's actions, which is why communication is very, very, very important. Um, but, these times are necessary to go inward and isolate and really pull your energy away so that when springtime comes, you are refreshed, renewed, and that's when you know the new starts start. Um, so, and I said Scorpio season, but you know, by by to be quite literal, it's actually Capricorn season. Um, that's considered the season to go inward, but they are really one and the same. So, um, yeah. So again, when the sun moves into Libra, it's going to form a air grand trine. This will activate communication, ideas, plans, projects, socializing. There can be a lot of conversations happening, a lot of brainstorming sessions happening. It's going to again bring back people who you know, who you hang out with, who you talk to, and even more people who you're meant to meet in this lifetime. It's going to show you more parts of your relationships, and connections and life-changing, powerful people and unexpected new ways of experiencing your world that will be very interesting, active, stimulating, and just different. Like when I say a breath of fresh air, it's gonna be like, where the hell have you been all my life, dude? Like, I've been wanting to have this conversation years ago. Like, let's go, you know? And it's just gonna be very, very different from your previous experiences. And these things have already been happening. By the way, this is not the first air grand trine. If you look back, I have done another video about this. It's just now that it's Libra and Sun, which is where the difference is and why I'm making this video now. And it will continue to happen every time any planet moves through Libra. Libra. Um, and so you're going to notice how you show up in your relationships now, the growth that is possible, the transformation that has occurred, and the willingness to have a new perception, and new understandings of who you spend your time with. Libra's communication, how we handle everyday conversations, how we show up when things are comfortable, when there's disagreements, when you're not on the same page. It wants to help you develop how to have conversations to get on the same page and work through conflict to elevate your relationships. And this will happen every Libra season at different degrees as this energy pushes forward. Even as you push forward in your relationships, if we really wanted to track how your relationship grows every year, you can really be able to tell when you look at the certain degrees that it goes through each year. That can give you ideas on, okay, so around this time, we always a little funky. You know what I'm saying? So what can we do to change that? Or how do we accept it better and let that space be, right? Conversations like that and relationships are super important to evolve within them. We're learning to be better partners, better communicators, and you can notice that you're actually more willing to figure things out, to cooperate, to handle things together, where there's mutual agreement, mutual understanding. And this could also bring new solutions and approaches and balance within your relationships. It's also going to let you know, where things have not been fair, equal, or where there has been overgiving and no reciprocity. So, you know, we're really just learning where we need to evolve socially. And this could be very, very fast with Uranus and Gemini. You'll be eager to learn, you'll be curious, you'll ask more questions. Um, you're learning a new mindset and a new perception that feels very empowering, a better version of yourself that aligns with your future self and where you're meant to go, what you could be, if you're willing, because you know everybody has free will. And so you'll start to attract more of those people as you change with that vibration. by having honest conversations and being intentional when you connect with somebody, not just connecting for the sake of connecting, because you can easily start to misconstrue behavior when you're not having the important conversations needed to have in order for a relationship to evolve. That's where all the negative connotations come in, when people be like, oh, they're distant, or they didn't care about me. Um, you know, I mean, obviously I can go on and on and on and on, but I think you get the point, right? Um, when that's really probably not even who you are or what you was even trying to do at that time. And it could cause people to be shameful and not really want to speak up and talk about the deeper issues that they might have. And so this is also learning how to advocate for yourself and ask for what you want, ask for help, knowing how to do that, who to do it with, when is the right time to do it. You know, these things are very important skills and tools and awarenesses to have when you're trying to build with somebody. Anybody, it doesn't just have to be romantic. In any relationship, these things are important. And that's why I always say you should always have checkpoints. Give yourself certain periods of time where you're like, yeah, that frivolous, kind of no boundaries, it just is what it is, part of a relationship is extremely important. That is quite literally the definition of dating. You're not supposed to go into something with expectations, because you could get let down, Go in with an open mind, open heart, and flow with the energy. Um, those things give you the opportunity to kind of see where somebody is freely without you dictating it or making your demands or coming with your lists and all these kind of other things, which could inflict fear, or it might cause somebody to put on a mask or to address you or approach you in a way that they think you might really want to be addressed, approached, when it might not even be true. So you come in unauthentically yourself, vulnerable, open, and just let the energy flow between the two. Those things are very, very, very important. But after a certain period of time, once you start to realize, well, is the energy dwindling? Is it still making me feel tingly? I don't know what the fuck your measurements or metrics are, but you should have a cutoff point. Like, okay, it's been about this amount of time. I think we should check in now. You should have check-in points at any given time for anything that you do, just like when you're at work. What is it, like every 6 months you got to go and get assessed or some crap like that? I mean, all places are different, but these processes are important so that you are checked in to make sure you're still in alignment. Because if you don't do that check-in process, things start to fall apart and it gets a worse name, or a negative name, or a negative connotation, negative memory, and when it didn't even need to be that way. And then you will blame everything else but the fact that you didn't set up that metric for yourself, or that tool for yourself, um, as a way to accept whether or not something's going to continue or end. And so, you really have to, this is that Neptune, that opposition. I'm telling you right now, that opposition to the sun in Libra, opposite Neptune and Aries, is going to be a bitch if you don't figure it out. Then yeah, you're going to get ghosted. Yeah, you're going to get used. Yes, absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, people are going to take advantage of you when they can. It's human nature. And you can blame the person or the individual, but I think what Neptune and Aries is really going to challenge people to do is have more compassion on the higher vibration. And the only way you can do that is by taking accountability for how things are playing out in your life. You become the conductor. Yeah, I can go on and on and on about that, but you'll definitely start to attract people who are on the same vibe as you, have the same quirks as you, lives the same life like you do. It'll feel easy, and it'll bring some really kind of shared experiences and memories that will be, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, this is going down in history, you know. But yeah, so that's about it. That's all I got. As usual, family, I love and appreciate you. I hope you found this information helpful. Peace.